Connected sound. That's what we talk about. Connected sound. Yeah? This is something I have struggled with personally. The larynx getting all high, which for some singing is maybe okay. But in classical singing, you want low larynx. Not depressed. Floating low. Ooh, ha 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 ha. This is more popular singing, more speech level. But for this classical singing, we make space. We have yawn position. Beginning of yawn. You see what happens here? I take a kick. Or, quick inhale, you can yawn. What happens? Larynx goes low, right? What happens to sound? Becomes a little bit more spacious. Also what happens, which you can't see, palate, soft palate, your uvula, which you probably can't see, is back there and it lifts. And that is the position we sing in as classical singers. And in general, it's very nice sound. Creates warmth. You can have brightness, you can have darkness, you can have a nice balance of tone. And you can do things with it. It doesn't always have to be there. You can mix up the color. But anyway. Aus der Heimat hinter den Blitzen ruht, da kommen die Wolken her. Aber Vater und Mutter sind lange tot, es kennt mich dort keiner mehr. Wie bald, ach wie bald kommt die stille Zeit, da ruhe ich auch, da ruhe ich auch. Und über mir rauscht die schöne Waldeinsamkeit, die schöne Waldeinsamkeit, und keiner kennt mich mehr hier, und keiner kennt mich mehr hier. Schumann. What did I do? So at the end I went into falsetto because I thought it might be nice. I don't know, maybe not. Wouldn't do that in performance probably. Keiner kennt. Und keiner kennt. Und keiner kennt mich mehr hier. Yeah. So anyway, but how do you maintain that? How do you maintain that? Aus der Heim, ba ba bam, ba, ha, ha. It requires a little bit of lean. It requires a little bit of what the Italians call appoggio, which literally means appoggiare, which means to lean. It can also mean to support, to lean into something. And that is the idea of support that we have in the English language. We say support. But that's what you need, a little bit of. So to maintain that space, so you have position of yawn. But then what do you have in addition to that? You have chords, you have air. So you create space, but you still need closure of chords, right? Because otherwise you have nothing, right? So you need So you create space, and we have closure of chords. How you create closure? You can do a little bit muscles here. You can do a little bit muscles of the larynx. And And actually, you can do that in any position. You don't even need to do that with space. So it's almost like it's separate action. But anyway, so we're breaking this down. We have, and then we have closure of chords. Space, which is your inhale. You do that on your inhale. You can do it through your nose. You can do it through your mouth. I prefer both. Maybe it starts with nose, because nose gets you lifted here. That's important. Space is not all about lowering the larynx and opening the throat. It's also about lifting the palate in a sort of surprise. This idea of, what's this? Surprise, yeah? But it's internal. So we have that. We have closure of chords, and then we have air. Air, very important, very, very important, okay? So how you control air, how you get air through the chords, how you get it to cooperate with the chords in such a way that it vibrates and it's free. And that, my friends, is the great trick of singing. And I have to admit, I'm not a master of this. My teacher was a master, an absolute master. And you realize when you work with a guy like that, how unmasterful you are. However, it's incredible to see what's possible. And I learned a lot in the many years we worked together, 6 or 7 years it was. So space, chords, air, air, air. And what you can do, through a little bit of muscular action, you can kind of lean into. As I was saying, this idea of appoggio, appoggiare is the verb, appoggio, lean, and it's hard to explain. It's kind of hard to explain. It's like if you were to pick something heavy up, that little bit of catch in here, you know. My teacher would always say, when you're laughing or crying, of course he was Russian, when you laughing, when you crying, he would say it like that, sort of. That's my Russian accent. So yeah, this, it's like this deep body, so you can apply that. It's like, you know, they say when baby cries, you hear this kind of natural tightness. You have to be careful with this, yeah, because you can overdo that. You can clamp it down to where it's almost nothing, and I've done that. And let me tell you, it is not a good road you want to go down. However, some of that is extremely useful, and there's a reason why I continued to get work even when I was singing in this way that was so tight and so controlled. So you know, you want that, but you also want the freedom. So you have to check in. This is why I work with falsetto exercises. And sing quietly. Practice singing quietly. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. And as much as you can integrate that quiet singing, that beautiful, tender falsetto with the full voice, the more you can smooth out that transition, the better off you'll be, the more freedom you have in the voice, yeah? So that's how you can counteract this idea of tightness in the body, yeah? And I should be careful about that word, okay? Let's not like emphasize that. It's important, but it's just a little bit. It's just a little bit. But that gives you the ability to create a phrase. So in this case, I'm leaning a little bit. Aus der Heimat hinter den Blitzen ruht, ba ba bam, ba da da di dam, da da ma ma la da da. Whereas if I didn't lean at all, aus der Heimat, I don't even know how I would do it. Aus der Heimat hinter den Blitzen ruht. That's like I run out of air quickly. Maybe the sound isn't terrible, but it doesn't have that same kind of quality, and you cannot maintain line. Because after all, what are we? We're musicians. We're creating music, right? So it's not enough to make good sounds. You have to actually make phrasing. You have to make music, essentially. So let's start with that and see how we do. All right? Let me know if you have any questions.